Asame shimae, my dad and sons. How are you doing today? Dorstan? Dorstan, are you good? Are we all good? Hello and welcome to Dad and Sons, a podcast about dad and sons talking about dad and sons. And on this episode, I won't talk very much because we're going to talk about VR pretty much for the whole episode. So George,
no, we don't gotta do the whole
you
episode.
Haven't tried VR? There's like a bunch of like porn VR stuff all over Japan.
Oh, there's so much we could talk about.
we've had this discussion. I have not the funds to dip into said VR world. And two, as I was discussing with George before, Matt, you found your way to our chat. I live in a Japanese apartment. Literally, if I tried to do even Vive or going down to the bare limits of PSVR and the space that needs, I would have put my
limits.
I would have put my fist through the walls with the Vive controller almost immediately. It's kind of just like an unfortunate realism that I have to come to terms with, that I can't jump on the VR bandwagon so far.
Well, Matt, it's good that we know a solution then to help our friend out.
Come on, guys.
What's that solution?
Well, Matt, if you'll remember, we went to the world famous Akihabara shopping center, which included such pop-up VR cafe establishments as Soft On Demand.
Yeah,
which
it won't give you the games you want, but it will give you the games you need. In this lonely time.
It brings interactive entertainment to a new level.
New level, huh?
Yeah.
So VR arcades and places like Soft Demand actually seemed pretty popular when Matt and I were there last March. Are they still kicking?
They're pretty much the same as game centers, arcades over here. There are just things people just can't afford to have, right? They can't afford to just shell out fucking
more because of space than anything else in Japan,
as
which
right?
for VR is a super relevant concern. I actually think this is actually going to really hurt it,
yes,
or shape Japan, people's house layouts in the future, either or.
But saying that, the PSVR has been sold out in Japan since it launched. I don't know whether that's a limitation on the unit Sony released in Japan, but it has been harder to get hold of than the Switch was initially. So
it's not room scale VR, so it doesn't matter.
It tries so hard. Come on, you gotta
it's
give
like
it
baby VR, for
adorable
the
points. Okay, let me explain. Matt, it's not that bad. It's not. It's. Okay, compared to the high-end stuff you're used to, I will admit that the PSVR is a lower-end solution. But the thing is that the headset itself is of a perfectly fine quality. It can display 4K. I don't know if it can go up to 2K. I know it can do 2K. I don't know if it can go up to 4K. I still have yet to do the official tests on the PC. But with the PS4 Pro, you can view 4K content in it. You can also download a program to run it on PC and more or less fool your PC into thinking it's a Vive. I believe that the actual technical specs of the headset itself are on par with the Vive. It's just that the content you see on PS4 is usually of a much lower quality and lower resolution because the PS4 can't handle games like your gaming PC can. However, the games that they do have AAA quality expertise in them. They got optimization tricks. They know the magic on how to hit 60 FPS and still have it look like PS3 level quality in some of the demos. Some dev teams have figured out the engineering better than others. Some games just flat out handle motion control better than others. It's very, very strange because the PS VR's real Achilles heel is in how it tracks the motion controllers.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing about it that actually is cheap, almost mobile level quality garbage, it is the solutions it uses to track those wand controllers, which are reverse engineered from the previous generation to play motion controller iToy games like Just Dance. And when you raise your arms up very, very high or very, very low, as is often demanded in Job Simulator, I would just be waving my wands outside of the view of the camera. They would get cropped out from a very letterbox 16:9 view of my couch. Imagine, if you will, a frame that is a basic rectangle cinematic 16:9 cinema frame, and in that frame are 3 couch cushions of equal size. That's about as well as the PS VR camera was able to look at my couch from the default setup of 4 feet away. I had to move the couch 6 feet back. By that I mean 2 extra feet. I had to slide it back and kind of block the way to my kitchen. You know how it works, Matt?
Yeah.
Got like
Damn.
Like the couch in front of the TV that's in the way of the kitchen doorway if it wasn't scooted closer. So people with small apartments who live in countries like Japan.
I remember having to do all this nonsense for like the Kinect, but I imagine it's a lot more worth the fucking effort with the VR.
It's worth it, and it's also surreal testing for this, because you find out whether or not your room is VR ready by whether or not like Job Simulator has you digging through the couch in real life to find a piece of clutter that dropped from your desk in the game. Oh boy, I put the lady friend on Job Simulator, and it was a wreck. It was a disaster. It was an unmitigated clusterfuck of an evening where the height was not calibrated correctly. The camera was looking at the wrong angles. Your space has got to be clear.
Reset orientation button on your keyboard.
Well, okay, there's a reset orientation button on the controller, and for some games and all videos, it'll let you reorient yourself wherever you want to be and just use the headset's gyroscope. However, for Job Simulator and Superhot, they want you standing at a certain spot in your living room, regardless of how hard you try. They want you at a 6-foot distance straight ahead of the camera, no matter how, where, why, and for how long you hold that recalibrate button. Whereas for most video content and the like music visualization stuff we were doing, you could just like lie back on the couch and relax. But
Superhot is involved.
Yeah, it's quote unquote room scale. The games that attempt room scale don't even let you choose your starting point. You just gotta hope that the starting point in your living room has enough space around it. Otherwise, you're fucked. Which is sad because Superhot is amazing.
It's fantastic.
God almighty. When
I wish we had more games like it.
When the PS camera is trying its darndest, when you're playing that game, you see like steam come out of your machines. Because the PSVR can barely handle what I'm sure you will agree, Matt, is the best VR game on the market right now.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, I'm going through it, and oh man, Superhot VR might be a contender for one of my like all-time favorites.
You remember like a while ago when this game first came out, and we're on a TOVG podcast, and I said, I think Superhot is better than the original. Like, it's almost like it was built around VR. Like, like the regular version doesn't even mean anything. It's just like,
and it's such
like,
a
who cares about the regular version? Because the freaking VR version is the rightful original. It's so good. It just works.
It's a game concept that makes perfect absolute sense in VR, that plays with the existing concepts of both video games and non-analog games. It turns out playing like Twister, but with some point-and-click puzzling element to Twister. Really though, like you could okay. So Liam, we gotta pitch Liam on this, Matt, because you and I, we don't know. Like you early adopted it with the high end stuff. I waited for the cheap garbage to get even cheaper. But at least we both know how fucking credible Superhot VR is.
Yeah.
Like
you could play that with a phone, and as long as you have your hand tracked properly, you'll be fine.
Like I can imagine it is good, because I like Superhot anyway, and games like that you have to use your hands in VR is pretty much like the best at the moment. Like you were talking about Job Simulator before. The idea of using your hands in the space is, without having to move your character too much is easily the best solution for the static nature of VR right now, right? Same as like cockpit gameplay, racing gameplay, all that kind of stuff where you don't have to move the actual body of the player without fucking janking around or like doing a flash dance across the screen.
Oh god.
So I can imagine it's good, but it's just
You're speaking with expertise.
Exactly. I've played enough VR to understand and also get the gist of exactly what VR is all about and what its pitfalls are. But it's kind of just like we're on the precipice of like whether VR is going to be something that sticks around for a long time. Well, obviously we've teetered back and forth with Oculus and all the stuff that happened with Oculus and them fucking around as a shitty company with Palmer Luckey being a bit of a dick and all that kind of stuff. People were like, oh, well, that's Oculus finished. Then they're bringing out, the Oculus Pro or whatever it is? Like the one that's like its own built PC as well. So you can just use
I will say,
I thought you were talking about the day's news, the HTC Pro.
No. And then obviously I think Valve and HTC are going to keep going for as long as whatever. But as we discussed last week, Valve are jumping back into game development. So does that mean they'll bring VR stuff out? And if Valve are doing VR stuff, then that's obviously a bit more serious. Because if Valve are investing lots of money, considering how long it takes them to make games, that will push VR probably more forward. The PSVR seems to be doing all right, but there's not been like the I think like Resident Evil 7 is kind of like the biggest game that has had the VR work well for it, whereas everything else has been kind of the super hot level. It's not like the AAA studios like dipping into it. So it's like, is it like an investment?
You played Farpoint?
I haven't played it, no. But that's not like a AAA studio though. It's like a pseudo AAA game. It's not like a AAA studio.
They got like support. I mean, the Farpoint box is just like covered in PlayStation Blue with the telltale signs that it was more of a second party effort than anything else.
I'll say what I said before on a previous podcast. VR is pretty much here to stay, I would say. I'm gonna go ahead and be the insane person, as George called me before. I think VR is here to stay. It's either going to be, something that everyone uses, or it's going to be replaced by something that is easier, more convenient, or it will become easier and more convenient.
Yeah.
Because it's not just games that this is affecting. It's affecting everything. It's being adopted everywhere.
See, the idea that I wanted out of VR, the thing that excited me the most, was the idea of being in a tiny Japanese apartment where I can't have like a giant 4K TV, but I still want that experience. My thing that I wanted was to... No, I wanted the like cinema mode thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that to be perfect. Like I wanted the cinema mode, like where I can play a regular PS4 game in the cinema mode, and it looked like I'm playing a game on a giant fucking theater screen.
Yeah,
like,
so
that's what I wanted. But the resolution isn't that good. It's not that good.
Give it one more generation for the resolution to get bumped up a notch, and you're probably good.
Yeah.
I sat back on the couch and played Sonic Mania, a low-resolution pixel art game, on the cinema mode in VR, and that game actually looks fine. In fact, I don't know, this might be me like really, really, really getting deep into the honeymoon period here, but I actually almost liked the slight shimmering and anti-aliasing that the low resolution gave to the pixel art of Sonic Mania. For an actual 3D polygonal game, you can sit back and play them on the VR cinema display, but it's really going to work for games that run at a lower resolution by default.
But you also get the weird janky head movement sometimes that just like it still doesn't feel like you're naturally playing a game, like in the cinema mode. Like when you move your head, because it's like it is 1-to-1, but it's not as perfect as your actual head. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I've played the cinema mode. I've played the cinema mode, and there have been screen tearing when I move it for the screen that I'm playing the game on.
I think you had a bad experience, man. Because
screen
tearing will sound like completely ruin the experience. Like you can't have that at all.
it was like moving your head like in the cinema mode would make the cinema screen of which you're playing the game sort of screen tear a little bit if you moved it at quite janky motions.
Okay.
I mean, you obviously wouldn't do that, but moving your head around naturally is kind of something you just do, especially if you're playing for prolonged periods. And I guess maybe it was just a bad experience, but that was my experience.
It's not supposed to do that. Like,
Okay.
I guarantee, like I've watched too much stuff. Like, I was watching some of their like short films that they had in cinema mode, and you can be in a theater. And I always wanted to be able to like sit down with a couple of online friends in a theater, a virtual theater, and watch something. That would be pretty cool. But the resolution is not there yet. But yeah, I've never had that issue at all. The only issue I ever have with cinema mode is that the resolution is just not good enough. And I want the FOV to be bigger. The FOV is just not there. Even though it kind of melts away after you get inside the game, I still want it to be bigger.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm not used to FOV. Resolution seems like the one clear path to solving a lot of problems, which I like, actually. It makes me feel like video games have a defined path of technological progress informing software design at this point. Like, menus in VR games are built to spec of a very low resolution, the way you saw menus in 7th gen games when Oblivion first came out have only like 3 items per tile. There's a lot of really stupid bullshit that we're putting up with, but you can spot the technical ways to fix it. There's abstract art stuff like motion sickness that will may have to be fixed more through changing genres and gameplay design, which actually has me more excited as well, because that means that we're currently languishing in a period of like tank controls and pre-rendered backgrounds, because the GPU race is still not accelerated to the point where they can render usual quality levels and graphics in both eyes at 60 frames per second at a 1080p resolution minimum. And as I can now attest through PSVR, 1080p is now not enough. 1080p was fine for a good year. In fact, I felt no temptation at all to buy 4K TVs. Now I get it. 1080p looks bad when stretched across one's entire person field of view of their space. At 4K, you have a cleaner VR image, and that sounds like way more useful of a purpose for technology than having a cleaner 80-inch TV image. And also, VR video is something that kind of changed my mind that I didn't get to experience before. VR video is an amazing medium that just plain feels like the next logical iterative objective step to telecommunications technology in general. It feels like you are consuming more information for the same amount of time and trouble that you get from watching a regular video.
Now,
you can read.
You're talking about not the 2D plastered video. You're talking about like 3D video, correct?
Yeah, videos where the camera is a 360 degree or 180 degree camera, and you can move your head from a point of view
Side
perspective.
by side. Yeah.
Or top. There's naming convention. I know. I'll be getting into it.
It's like I went deep last time, like figuring out like what's good video and what's not. I watched a lot of stuff. I went into dark areas. I went everywhere in VR. Like, it's quite interesting to see how things have come, and like being able to see, like I gave this example before. I think Vice is the one who did it. During a protest, they had a VR camera, and being able
means
to
that you're not going to be able to miss anything.
Yeah, like it's
you can't propagandize
incredible.
that.
Yeah,
like you can see newsworthy events from the eyes of people involved in them, and that's a powerful evocative experience. I can't wait to see VR footage get used to like disprove claims in court. I saw a series that the New York Times did where they were covering hurricane damage in Haiti, and just like seeing foreign poverty on an eye level with a sense of scale to it is it gave me an effect to the human interest, weepy sappy side of the story that I don't think would have been accomplished if there was just a Even if there was really good video coverage of hurricane damage in Haiti, it's less powerful putting yourself in the perspective of someone standing amid the wreckage. That's more powerful than seeing a photograph taken by someone standing amidst the wreckage. I watched the White House tour, the People's House, hosted by the Baracks, and when I had the camera like face to face there with a former U.S. president, I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, people can now be susceptible to the charisma of world leaders firsthand. The first presidential debate televised in VR is going to be differently read than people who do not experience it in VR. People who experience these events in VR are going to be able to read the mood. They're going to be able to read the body language of the audience in a way that viewers could not otherwise. They're going to be able to maybe hear things that viewers would not be able to otherwise. They'll get a one-on-one, face-to-face impression of what the candidate speaking styles are like, and that's something that has to be conveyed from a observer in a report before. Now it's something that you can just plug into and know what that room was like from the perspective of that camera, no matter how they try to editorialize it.
Like, I don't doubt this is cool. It all sounds really cool to me. Like, it really does. And the one thing I've really wanted to try is the Google VR. Like, that, I've spent countless hours, like I'm sure many have, just fucking browsing Google Street View in random-ass places on the world. Just like, I'm never going to go to fucking arse end of some place. So I'm just going to go look at it on Google Street View. Like, the idea of doing that in Google VR is, like, immensely cool to me. But I just don't foresee a time when I personally will shell out the money for this until...
You're not alone.
No, I know.
What we're saying, you're not alone. I think eventually it's going to become something very easy. It's getting cheap. Like, I remember the Oculus was $250. $250. You know how much I paid? You know how much I paid? $250 with the freaking touch? Come on, man. Come on. Like, it was like some crazy deal. Like, trust me, like, it's going to get cheap. It's going to get super cheap, and you're going to be like, yeah, I'll pick it up.
It's just
for
too
$100
inaccessible at the moment in terms of, like, if you're just casually going to use it. Like, the PSVR is obviously your best bet, but even George just has to fucking shuffle around his couch, whereas... if I wanted to shuffle around my couch, I'd have to put it on my fucking roof because there's just nowhere it would go. So it's more of like, well, I'd like to try it, but it's just not going to happen yet until they can figure some sort of simulation, like simulating like with the Switch can do with the Joy-Cons, like where the positioning is, depending on if it's locked into something. Like doing that with the controls so they don't have to go through the camera, so you can just walk around in like a space. Like that is kind of like what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, and I bet you're only going to have to give it one more generation. What I actually am so excited about this is that this means the next generation of consoles are going to focus on VR. They're going to be built for gimmicks conducive to a VR experience. They're not just going to be an Xbox One X, a PS4 Pro. They're not going to be the same thing with slightly improved graphics. Mm-hmm. And you can tell the PS4 VR has a box that comes out of the cables attached to the PS4 VR that have cables coming out of it that attach to another box on its way to the wall. Technology can just get smaller at this point, and it will greatly, vastly improve the experience.
I will be that guy, though. I will be that guy and say, if they don't completely 100% figure out the cinema mode to be like perfect 4K resolution, like you're looking at it, I don't want it to be full-on gimmicky like the Wii, or like we have the whole next generation of PS5 where they only have the resources to focus on VR, and then they put all their eggs in one basket, and we have like the motion controller generation, but for VR. So then we lose so much of just like normal gaming that we have right now, which is very good with the 4K. Like things are getting nice and better, but we're also getting like very good games out of it. I don't want us to then revert back to a whole generation.
Right now? That's AAA. Like, what is good though? Like,
there's so much good.
They need to do some VR games.
Like AAA do, but then you get stuff like the God of War previews that came out yesterday, and I am like not a fan of God of War very
Forgot
much.
about that one. Yeah.
But the God of War previews were fucking incredible, and you've had Ni no Kuni 2 as well. That's just like a very traditional JRPG. It's not going to be for everyone, but it comes out and it gets like 85 on Metacritic. You're like, that's kind of just like the normal gaming space, what I think we can all agree on. But what I don't want to happen is for us to fall into what we had in like 2009, 2010, where we had that almost whole generation, not a whole generation, but whole 3 years of like the Xbox, PS3 and the Wii, where like everything had tactile motion controls to it. And it was just shit. It was so shit. Like the Wii was a console that sold millions and got away with it, but it never really reached the potential of what it could do. You could say up until the Switch, really, it still quite hasn't got it in terms of motion controls, and it probably never will. Motion controls has now only been enhanced by VR. But what I don't want to happen is the PS5 come out, the Xbox One X2, whatever the fucking dumb name it'll be named, comes out, and they're like, we're going to focus completely on VR, like you're not going to have to, you're not going to need a TV, you can do everything through cinema mode, and then for stuff to be like, well, the resolution's not quite right, the VR needs like a lot of space, it needs like all these finicky like things to be attached to your wall so it can measure where you are in your room, and if your room's not like a certain size, and then already you're like, well, I can't play half the games on this console because everyone has to then start developing for VR because that's the main proprietary gimmick to this console. It's troublesome in a way, and I'm happy with where VR is right now as like this side piece to everything else. Like I happily own a PS4 and I could buy a PSVR and it could be an even better experience, right? But at the same time, it's still a good experience on its own. What I don't want to happen is for VR to be the next big thing, but still not quite be there. So then everyone's focusing on it and having to develop for it because that's where the money is, but it not be quite right like motion controls. Like that's my worry, because the motion controls never got good. It ruined 3 years of video gaming, and I'm just like a little nervous about that. A little. I can understand that VR is good and great. I just don't want it to sacrifice other things. I want it to be like its own zone, its own thing that gets better, and you can just opt into it at any time. Like you're like, oh, now, the Vive Pro is coming out, and it costs a fucking ton of money, but the resolution is incredible. Like that's not going to affect my like playing of Ni no Kuni 2 or God of War. It's like an additional experience I can have. I just don't want everything to be integrated like the dumb shit that's happened in the past. If that makes any sense to you.
I don't know if, it's not like 3 years were ruined. I really hated those years because every fucking game was the same shoulder cover shooter, modern military. What did that have to do with motion controls?
But that was the only opposite to the motion controls. Everything either had the motion controls in it, or the opposite was that AAA was just doing the same shit in terms of, like, no one could experiment, no one could do shit because it was stuck in, like, two rivaling dumb areas. One being like, oh, we have to make this gimmicky add-on crap because the Kinect's out, or the PS, what are they called? The wands. And, the Wii obviously is the Wii. You fucking shake the controller. I just don't want the VR to, like, be the dominating thing about the next consoles. I don't think it will be, but, like, when you hear all the stuff like, oh, PS5 is going to be solely, like, you can play it solely in the PSVR headset that comes with it. For one, that bumps the price up already massively. And just, like... You're like, I kind of just want it to stay with it. Wow.
They would do that.
I think that's more of a, like, 2-generation prediction than a 1-generation
That's when
prediction.
VR becomes, like, such a part of our lives.
Ready Player One.
It's just totally, like, an understandable step. It's just like, yeah, of course.
Also, one thing that I think you got to experience for yourself to change your mind that us talking will never do is convincing you that motion controls got way better over the past generation.
Oh, they have. Like
and that's why the PS1s are bad, is because it's from a generation ago.
Yes. It took like 5 years of reiterating, and also for VR to make motion controls even worth it. Like, if VR hadn't come along, motion controls would still be garbage. but they're not, because VR came out and they were an incredibly already convenient way of interacting in that space.
Well, they're also using fisheye IR sensors that aren't supposed to really be cameras.
The technology's gotten
unlike
better.
the PS Move.
And I imagine it will with VR. What I don't want to do is I don't want a Wii situation where the Wii was fine on its own, but then you had everyone competing to do the same, just terribly, and then getting it in the way of everything else. So if, for example, the Vive Pro comes out and is fucking incredible, then every fucker's going to want to do it. Like, everyone's going to start developing for it. All the console, like, you've already seen, obviously, PlayStation have done their thing. What's happening with the Xbox and the Oculus, like, partnership as well? Like, that's going to be expanded upon. This is all kinds of stuff, you know, that just gets caught up in...
Xbox is already coming out with cardboard, man.
Yeah, but it's like... They jump too quickly on things for fear of being left behind. It's the
they
whole
haven't
Bitcoin
jumped on
thing
quickly enough.
Yeah, but the problem is when they do...
The Oculus came out 3 years ago.
They take 3 or 4 years to then get it right. And you have 3 or 4 years where everyone's development resources goes into shitty games. And it stunts the growth of everything else.
Hater.
But Super Hot VR is so good.
It is, because it's made by an independent studio that get to do what they want. But when you have like AAA studios or like the majority of big studios developing crap for VR that just they're pushing out because it makes money, like they did with motion controls, it's a panicky
It's
situation.
really
you
good.
say
The London
just-
Heist is like one of my favorites.
Everything you say just reminds me of the documentary Danny put out of Warframe. Is exactly what you're talking about.
Which is a good documentary, by the way. People should watch that. It's really good.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
You might have to explain this one to me.
He's talking about like being pushed to create things and people denying like actual original ideas over and over again, no matter
exactly.
Yeah, and that's why I like AAA garbage devs doing it, is because they'll actually have the budget to accomplish the spectacle that people want when they say no good stuff has been made in VR yet.
Yeah,
but good stuff has been made in VR already. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, I want VR to continue as it is on its own, like its own other zone of gaming. That's what I've said. Like, I want it to
I'm pretty sure it will be for like the next 10 years, but then after those
totally
10
fine.
years,
It's totally fine.
you might have no choice but to swim with us.
Well,
he's gonna be swimming with us way before then. Come over to my house. I'll show you the lights.
Okay, I'll just buy the plane ticket. That costs more money than the actual VR to come try the VR.
Well, since you have been a hater, I'm gonna go ahead and be the hater.
Okay,
I'm gonna go ahead and it looks like I've been robbed again. Okay.
Wait, what?
I bought Final Fantasy 15 on Steam.
All right. When you say robbed,
let me ask, Matt, is this for the first time ever you mentioned you'd written podcast notes? Is it to shit all over Final Fantasy?
I swear I won't go through. Dude, I wrote a lot. Like, it's just anger. It's just anger. Just wrote all through it. And I was like, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm not. Has anyone played Final Fantasy 15? Please, Liam, have you played it?
Yes.
A bit.
Okay, thank God. Thank God. Okay, so that means you can tell me how much of an idiot I am. All right, so you can balance me out.
Let me hear what you say first. Let me digest what it is you have with it.
Final Fantasy 15 is a janky Kingdom Hearts with dated open world and a lot of ex machina moments. A lame ass. It's okay. Like, I didn't. Just to give you some backstory, I've been waiting for this game for a long time. Like when it was announced years ago, I was like, Versus, right? Snap, we gonna do it. And 13. It was,
when it was announced as Versus 13 back in the day. Like,
yes,
going all the way back.
all the way back, where it's like, oh, okay, some of the Kingdom Hearts guys are gonna be wearing, and I like Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, like regardless of the story, like you have that magic there that you don't really get with a lot of stuff. You know, like I don't know. It's I guess when you grew up with Disney and you get to go back to these worlds, there's a little bit of nostalgia that hits into there, and just being there with you know, some like some very cutesy characters talking about friendship. It's just fun to play.
It's
So I was like, okay, Final Fantasy 15 is gonna be like the grown-up Kingdom Hearts. And I avoided everything. I avoided news, I avoided reviews, I avoided everything until this point because I heard it was coming out for Windows, and I was like, I'm gonna play that. Kind of like what I do for Monster Hunter. I just avoid everything until I buy it. I think that was a bad decision to do that, because I should have looked it up, because I didn't expect this, because you see the live stream was great. They announced the anime series Brotherhood. They announced Kingsglaive and all this stuff. They showed some really good video, and I mean, brilliant marketing, because the final product is nothing like it. It is like, I press A. To give you a description, George. Like when you go up to an item and it says press A to pick up, you jump, George. You jump. You don't pick it up. You have to wait till he like settles down. Wait 2 seconds and then you press A again. How does it get this unpolished?
Immersive.
Triple A.
You can really feel like it's your back getting pained when your character bends over to pick a piece of garbage off the ground, huh?
Yeah, it's and you pick up a lot of stuff because you want to upgrade Gladios. You know, like just before people tune out, I'll say what I enjoyed. Okay, I really enjoyed the brothers. Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so the best part of the game. That's what they did mostly right. They could have, oh man, they could have done that so much better if the rest of the game was there, but it wasn't. Because there were moments like you can kind of tell like there was like different teams working on the cinematics, because the cinematics were like amazing. Like not just the way they looked, just the way it was done, the way it was delivered. It evoked an emotion that the game was lacking. And then you go back to the game and it makes no freaking sense. It makes like, okay. Especially like Final Fantasy, for people who play Final Fantasy 15, like the ending scene after the credits was really good. Really good. Like actors are great. You know, it has nothing to do with that. It has a lot to do with just the writing and the way they took out pieces of the game for you to watch on the side. So you have to watch Kingsglaive. You have to.
You have to?
You have to. You would. All right. So this is what they do.
I would.
Usually,
I would be like, maybe you get away with it, but I actually think Kingsglaive is pretty fucking integral to even starting the Final Fantasy 15 game.
So George, this is what they do. You play the first chapter, which is a couple hours. Then Noctis has flashbacks to what happens in Kingsglaive, like in a dream or something like that. I'm pretty sure they're just like kind of saying like, oh, this is what happened. You remember this movie that you watched? This is what happened right now. And then you find out what happens, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to spoil it. And you're like, what? And I didn't watch anything. I went in here blind. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, what the hell? That was the most unacceptable thing I've ever seen. And it's not the first time they do this. They do this with the Omen trailer as well when he falls asleep.
Back in the TOVG podcast days, we were like debating whether or not it was relevant enough to watch this stuff. Then, lo and behold, a PC announcement of FF. I decide I want to watch it. But then, before I play the game, lo and behold, a PC announcement of FF15 happens. Lo and behold, the game actually comes out. It gets kind of a lukewarm reception. I end up not watching it. I end up never playing it.
Yeah, that's what happened. I end up never watching it, and I was like, oh, when it comes on the Windows, I'm gonna give it a try because I've been waiting for this game forever.
Yeah.
And I don't like forever. It was part of my I don't know, back then years ago, I was hyped up on some of this stuff. You know, I didn't care about 13 and Lightning. I cared about Versus. So Kingsglaive. Okay. The reason why, all right, Kingsglaive is actually cool for the most part. It serves its purpose. And then near the end of the story, it starts to shit on itself like a dog trying to poop on its poop upside down. Like the poop is just sliding down. All right, there's a lot of side plot and back plot that just doesn't get enough love. So when it happens, you don't feel anything much. And there's this whole and part of that side plot means completely nothing because of a plot twist that happens near the end of the movie. It almost makes it that you wasted half of the movie watching dialogue that you really didn't need to see. And it looked cool. That's pretty much it. At the end of that, it looked cool. And that kind of what happens in the game is just characters that are introduced. They're just kind of there. Like Luna, the only reason why I know her is because of the movie, and they do her well in the movie, even though I feel like I don't want to spoil it. Who cares? Look, there is a part where they escape 3 or 4 times, and for some reason the evil guy keeps catching up.
Oh, like in Peace Walker.
It's the most ridiculous thing ever. And they have this 10-minute fight, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm going to catch up to Luna. And Luna's already out the city, and then for some reason he catches up in 2 seconds. There's a lot of ridiculous stuff in that movie, but it's good to look at. All right, here, Liam, you give me some back talk here, man.
Okay. So, bottom line, I enjoyed Final Fantasy 15.
Okay, why?
Where it came and what happened to it, and we have seen games like Duke Nukem Forever and fucking games that take 10, 12 years to get developed, and especially huge AAA studios that go through massive changes. The fact that 15 even came out is massive. And the fact that it came out and was not a bad game, I think there's a weird dividing line where people either really don't like it or people really like it. But that doesn't negate the fact that I don't think it's a bad game. Even if you don't like it, you can't really say it's a bad game because it's a solid piece of video game. It's not very buggy. Yeah, you have things with the controls, like Noctis, his turning circle is fucking as wide as a fucking 18-wheel truck. And, they're picking up stuff and he jumps a lot. That kind of stuff is The Witcher 3 has stuff like that. But The Witcher 3 is
what?
The Witcher 3, Geralt's movement's pretty similar to Noctis's. His turning circle's massive as well.
No.
I think so.
No.
And also
You're
a lot of people have the problem.
Oof.
A lot of people have problems with the combat in The Witcher, but that doesn't change the fact that it's one of the highest rated games of all time, right? That's my point. I would
Wait, which
say,
version of The Witcher did you play?
I like the combat, but I think if you Googled Witcher 3 combat, you would probably come up with more negative points than bad points in general.
Because they don't know how to play the game.
Yes, agreed. I think so.
But what did Final Fantasy 15 aspect
No.
It is broken.
Matt.
It's broken.
Calm down.
You just
Calm down.
you warp stripe and then you fly away, and then you keep doing it over and over again. And
there are ways definitely to exploit the game easily. But when you get into it and you start treating it more like a game where you can combo different weapons together because you can summon weapons, which I really like, you could do some flashy stuff in it that I actually really enjoyed. My biggest problem with it at the time, because I haven't gone back to it and played it, and actually it's funny you bring it up because I have been thinking of going back to it since the Windows version came out, I didn't like the fact that you couldn't play as the other characters. Because they all had a very unique style. Like, you could call them and command them to do stuff, but like the fact that you couldn't play them individually, like hot swapping between them and switching characters like you can in other RPGs, really frustrated me, because it's fucking 2016 or whenever it came out. Like, you should be able to do that. Like, Prompto with his guns, and Ignis like with his like gloves and shit, punching shit, and Gladiator with his giant sword, all play supremely different to Noctis. Mm-hmm. And they all have their qualities, right? But Noctis has this thing where he has like 12 different weapons he can summon, so they obviously wanted you to focus on Noctis. Yeah,
unless you stack a bunch of HP regeneration, so it doesn't matter.
That was one big problem I had with it. But in terms of just actually using Noctis, yeah, you could exploit it. But when you got into it and you were doing like flashy combos and you were like warping away and then warping immediately in, doing a huge combo, switching weapons, it felt good to me. Like, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching it, because it's a good looking game, no doubt. But I do agree with you. The open world is absolutely subpar. It's not really an open world. It's a deserted.
It's like they made it years ago, and they did. They did make it years ago.
And also, you drive across it, and it's like you can listen to like Dancing Mad on the radio, but like I can fucking do that on YouTube. Like, it's kind of boring, like the open world. I don't think the open world does it any favors in actual gameplay.
I beat this game in 30 hours, right? The main story. Yeah. The main story. And I did a lot of like hunts and stuff, because I enjoyed the hunts for the most part, like at least in the beginning when I was learning the combat. And because like the learning curve is pretty ridiculous after a while.
Yeah, it gets tough in some areas. Like, it really gets tough.
But you don't know why it gets tough. It just kind of gets tough because they give you these weapons and they say, here, it takes your life. And then you just don't get it. It's hard for you to get it, to understand how this is how you're supposed to use something. It's like the game. The game it doesn't explain everything when it comes down to the plot, when it comes down to the gameplay, when it comes down to anything. It just doesn't explain anything. So, and when it is explained, especially the plot, it's not good. It's
okay. So flipping back to that then, because the other major thing is the story, right?
Oh, wait. The open world, like.
Yeah,
okay. It's like kind of like
open world. There isn't much to say about it. It's not.
Yeah, just for George, I just want to. George, imagine Sonic 06, but in Final Fantasy.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know how the NPCs are all generic and they're all like kind of like
they look like Sims.
It's not that bad. Holy shit!
Does everyone just kind of
so generic? No, they're generic.
Their dialogue boxes at you.
they have the little question marker on top of their heads.
They look like they're from a Taiwanese news report.
The font used in this game is pretty ridiculous too, but I'm nitpicking at that point. Like it.
Yeah.
But imagine, because this is what it reminds me of. Imagine Sonic, like. You know how you would just come across someone doing like a animation loop or something? I'm driving.
And they kind of like wave their hands in front of their face.
Yeah, like
infinitely.
You find like these, like there's just like this guy who keeps having his car break down, and you just have to go to him and give him a repair kit.
Is this world populated by new
I need a repair
donkers?
kit.
Is that what happened?
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to so bad tweet about this, but I know I would be mean. I know I would be mean. And I don't think it deserves it. I don't think it deserves me being so angry. Like this is the type of when I play a game, this is the type of stuff that I just like I'm not going to make a video cuz why would I make a video? I'm just going to crap on it for like 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I guarantee 30 minutes. I'm just going to crap on it.
I feel like this is important because I feel like this is more anger towards the fact that you waited for so long and was disappointed.
No. It's not because I didn't watch anything. It's objectively not a
bad game. It's not like a 40 rating Metacritic. It's not Sonic 06. It's not that bad.
See, that's the thing. It is over 80%. How? All right, you said you were going to talk about the story. Go ahead and talk about the story.
So I feel like the story of the universe is interesting. Like, in terms of like what they've done with the universe of Final Fantasy 15, there is an interesting story in there. The way they've segmented it into multiple difference of mass media, like film and mobile games and the actual game, is fucking terrible. It's super bad. It's really bad. But in terms of like how I felt after I finished the game, because I'm not going to go in too much into spoilers, but there's one thing I really like in terms of like stories I enjoy. I love a good hero's journey, all right? And I love progressive growth. And if there's one thing I like about Final Fantasy 15, because as you said, the best aspect of the game is the bros, and I agree. The end...
It's because of Pronto, to be honest, too.
The end and how they grow, and there is some... I mean, you might as well say it, because it's the advertisement on the Steam page. There's a time skip in the game. And I'm a sucker for a good time skip. And then you see the other character, they grow, and what happens in the aftermath of everything. And then the ending, I feel, is pretty good. Like, I like... In terms of, like, the overall story, like, with Kingsglaive and all having to get up on that and all that kind of stuff is not great. Like, the overall story is not great. But the bros story, like, those guys growing and Noctis growing as characters, I feel like it does it okay. And, like, the ending, I got pretty emotional at the ending. Like, I feel like it's
only after the credits, that scene is the only time where I'm like, oh, okay, this got me. This got me. But the story, no. Like,
the overall story
Liam,
is not
he gets sucked into this object, and then he boom boom for a couple years, like, and then he just wakes up.
Hey,
what is that? Liam?
I have a question.
Yes.
I mean, Dragon Ball has hyperbolic time chambers, so I mean, it's like...
But he just wakes up? He just wakes up in some like, Jesus?
So, way back when the game launched, it wasn't actually... The lukewarm reception I was referring to, the thing that actually specifically turned me off is... Step one, a lot of fans were griping over a chapter 13 or a chapter 30.
Oh yeah, that's old news. That was
the
just
number
a problem
3
with
was
the game mechanic. It was far too hard in one aspect of the area. That was easily fixed. No, but the real thing here is that wait, George, because I think before you outdate yourself by mentioning anything, like there's a big thing about Final Fantasy 15 has changed so much since it launched that it's not even close to being the same game.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
It's still bad.
Is it better now?
Is it still bad? It's still bad.
Because they said they were going to patch the thing that the fans didn't like, and I was just going to wait for that patch, and then I was going to watch Kingsglaive, turn the lights off, shut myself out from the outside world for 30 hours, and finally get around to playing it. If they patch the thing they said they were going to patch, that I don't even know that much about because I don't want to spoil what was bad about it in the first place.
I think in order to enjoy this game, you probably need to play like the open world, do some hunts, get to know the brothers.
You're always hooked on the brothers.
Get all their dialogue, their hidden dialogue when you're camping out there in the woods and stuff like that, because that is the best part of the game. That is it. Even the side quests are completely boring. They're just boring, repeatable side quests. But the hunts are actually quite okay if you can understand the combat and kind of basically what you have to do with the combat is get a bunch of overpowered stuff and learn how to overrun the monster with a bunch of abilities, and it becomes really easy after a bit. You can, anyways, I'm not going to go too deeply on that, but that would be the best part. Save some pictures with Pronto. And, think about the good moments, okay? The slight moments of like, oh, okay, this could have been, this was actually okay. And then it's like ruined by something. Like it's, for a guy like me, this is not the type of game I play, for sure. There's a certain line.
Which goes back to my point that it's objectively not a bad game. You would not spend 30
I guess
hours
you're
with
right,
Sonic
because
06.
it has an 80% on freaking Metacritic. Because I seriously don't know what has happened to the world. Maybe it's me. I don't like Black Panther. I don't like what's that other movie I didn't like? I didn't like some other movie. I'm pretty sure somebody will tell me.
You might just have your acceptability threshold high. You might just have had your fill of things that are good but not great.
What has happened?
Law of diminishing returns. It's a natural part of capitalism. In a few months you'll get over it.
I feel like
Oh,
Matt's having a
well.
midlife crisis.
I just feel.
You're not one. I get it, Matt. Like mediocrity.
No. George, play the game. No. You're not gonna do me like this, Liam. Play the game, George. Waste 30 hours on this game, and you tell me that I'm wrong. Because George
lying on the couch in my VR cinema mode.
George has never told me that I'm wrong. So
wait. Chotto Mate. Wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
I am not saying it deserves the 80 Metacritic. I'm not saying that. Why am I the one who has to defend these games on this podcast? I do not know.
I can't believe you have to defend something
it
like
is your
Mario
role,
Odyssey.
Liam.
Jeez.
Yeah. So Matt doesn't even like Mario Odyssey. Like,
whoa, wait a minute. I enjoyed the game.
Oh, did you now? Because I will play you back like 10 podcasts ago, and we'll fucking show you otherwise.
It was kind of, I could have skipped it. I'm not gonna lie, I could have skipped
it. Anyway, let's fucking put that in the grave where it lays now, and let's just leave that alone. Let's not get back on that. We're talking about Final Fantasy 15, and I am not being a devil's advocate here because it doesn't deserve my sacrifice. It's not that good. It's not Mario Odyssey good. It probably doesn't deserve the Metacritic of which,
and it doesn't deserve my $50. I want that. If anything, I'm salty about. It's not because I waited. It's because I paid $50 for it.
That's $10 less than the full price. You still got a discount.
No, I don't want to hear it.
Special 4K
$50 is still $50. That's like 2 protein shakes, man. 2 protein like powder things.
For you to spend
that's gains right there that I'm giving up for Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was not worth my gains. No matter how good Sydney looks, okay? No matter for some reason Sydney's dressed up in a certain way, it's still not worth my protein.
Wait till you see it in VR.
Okay. So I still think it's like a strong 7 out of 10. That's it. There we go. Dead. It's not fucking Sonic 06. Like, come the fuck on.
No. It's not Sonic 06. Not even the slightest.
It
just reminds me of Sonic 06 a lot.
There is no way I think even you, Matt, my lovable friend, would play a bad game for 30 hours. Like, you wouldn't. You would put it down and you would chat shit about it.
All right. Let me tell you, Liam. I kept waiting for it to get to the point where I will be okay with certain things. Like, I was waiting for it to get better. Like, because usually with these games, something crazy starts happening. Like, the boss starts like mutating and turns into this big monster, and you have some epic fight or something like that. Like that's usually what happens in these Final Fantasy games, and I'm all good for it, and I'm good to go to the end for it. I played Legend of Korra. Okay, you guys haven't played that. That is a garbage game. I played it to the end, and that end was well worth it. It was well worth it. Platinum put all their resources into that end boss fight. It didn't get there, and I guess that's why I'm like disappointed. I didn't even get that magic, that Final Fantasy magic. It doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy game to me. It feels weird. It just feels awkward. Maybe I'm just not into modern Final Fantasy. I'm just not into it.
I mean, you like Kingdom Hearts, and isn't
Kingdom
that
Hearts
where
is
it's
great.
gone?
It's like a lovely mess.
If we want to talk about objectively bad stories, comparatively,
Yeah, it's mess. But there's magic there. There's no magic here, which frustrates me. It ended in 30 hours, a Final Fantasy game. Like, and I played like 30 hours, and that's with me playing side quests, dude. Like a lot of side quests for me to really know, like, oh my god. And then you just have this one map. I thought I was going to another map.
Let me get this straight. You're complaining about a game you didn't like was not longer than the experience you already had for it.
No, I wanted more, and all it gave me was like, it's like you want milk, and then someone says, "Oh, here's some 2%." Like it's not all there. It's all there, and you just keep waiting for someone to pour you some real milk.
So you would have wanted that game to be 60 hours and continue
So now I'm
to
just
hate
full
it
of
more
2% milk, and wanting to go to the bathroom.
This is a debate I've never liked, because I know what both sides are. I fucking hate sandbox games that last way too damn long than they need to, and they're mediocre and horrible and need to wrap things up and get it over with. But what about the people who like that stuff?
No, Matt doesn't like it.
I don't. I wanted it to get good. I wanted to see where my $50 went, and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
I wanted at least an epic boss fight, and there was none of that.
Right.
The money kind of undercuts the value of the time, because at that point you expect to get something for your money, whereas with your time you expect stuff to go away as you spend it.
Press X to feel feelings. Press LT to summon God and
respects.
watch cutscene. Like, okay, you're right. I'm good. I'm done. I'm done now.
Bottom line is I'm not being devil's advocate for this one because it's not that great. It's not that great.
I want for people who have liked it. I want you to tell me, even the friends that I've met, if they listen, tell me why I'm wrong in this, and tell me why. Like I know those guys will be able to tell me like, okay, yes,
tell me why,
huh? Like give me some constructive criticism on why this is okay. This can't be okay because I've watched some of these guys play it.
Nothing but a heartbreak,
huh?
It's nothing but a heartbreak. You'll be fine.
Okay, there you go.
I feel like it's that. It's like you were looking forward to it. It didn't match your expectations. You still finished it.
It's $50.
Now we can
listen. When I pay money, I finish the game.
I am absolutely the opposite. I pay the money and I'm like, this is shit. I'm just gonna do something else with my precious time.
Ain't nothing but a mistake.
I gave up 2 days of my off days for that. It's not because I waited. It's because I spent time and money playing this game, and I'm like, holy crap!
Wouldn't you pay $50 to get out of the prison of playing it for 30 hours?
No, it'll just be sitting there at the game that I didn't finish. $50 though. I'm gonna go play Sea of
get your money's worth
right now after this.
But you also want to live a lifetime of your time being worth it.
Okay, I'm just not gonna buy anything anymore. I'm just gonna steal it from my friends.
Now you're seeing my perspective.
Yeah. I'm gonna play indie games like I've been doing. Okay, I'm tired of the
expectations. Play the indie games that get the good reviews.
Yeah.
And you're pretty much
got good reviews though. Okay.
Well, it's not an indie game.
Okay. Oh, because indie games they're judged harshly because they're not paying the journalists, right? They're not greasing them palms. They're not lubing up them anals.
Which means that the ones with the good ratings are also having some like fresh ideas with more room to experiment and less of an incentive to satisfy the lowest common denominator of mass palatable tastes. But I need to think of a new topic after the break.
Peter Boyle is a tough, ill-mannered cop who is run down in the line of duty. But that's not the end of his story. No. He's reincarnated.
Ha! Surprise!
As a streetwise bulldog in Puchinsky.
What are you going to do now? Well, first I'm going to try licking myself, and then I'm going to catch my killer.
The talking dog teams up with his astonished former partner to put the bite on crime. It's touching.
Look at me. I've become a dog. It's all sinking in now.
It's poignant.
But it's life. It's precious life.
It's unforgettable.
You're a dog. I'm a cop. This is ridiculous.
Hello and welcome back to Dan Sons, the only podcast where you can hear us talk about topics from 2015 in 2018. George, speaking of VR and things from 2015, I believe you have some updated news on the year of 2015.
The HTC Vive is going to be relaunching a updated version with higher resolution in each eye, so Liam can get his 2.8K cinema display when laying back on the couch.
George, but tell me how much it's going to cost. Tell me, baby.
Well,
how much
before
is it
I get to the price tag, let me also inform you that the new version of the Vive, unlike the previous one, will come included with a integrated audio system.
System.
Those of us might call them headphones.
Is that what they call
headphones?
Is that what they put in the PRPs?
It's an integrated high-performance headphones with a built-in amplifier that creates heightened sense of presence and sound throughout noise cancellation capabilities.
Wait, is that what they put in there?
Oh, noise cancellation, that justifies the price, I bet. Because, wait, hang on, before we get to the price. So, noise cancellation technology, like the real, legit stuff, is supposed to be a little audio processor on your headphones that inverts the like sound waves to $800.
I'm out.
They're still sticking to the $800 price tag.
Not only that, but it's the completely obsolete, not worth your time, old shitty Vive now is still going to cost you $500.
Well, it's because people buy it.
I know,
the Vive is making me Oculus. I'm gonna buy it. Ooh, I don't want to support Facebook. Ooh, I don't want to.
When the Oculus is like cheap as hell.
Wait, yeah, but you're supporting Facebook.
I mean, news this week has not been too kind to Facebook, and Oculus are already in trouble as is. So
not only are you buying an electronic device to brainwash yourself willingly with your consent, you're also unwillingly being brainwashed by Facebook selling survey data to companies that create psychological profiles for you that sell those profiles to political advertising companies that use it to make propaganda. Anyways.
Whoa.
Yeah, so, you're probably best shelling off your $500 for
Holy
a Vive
hell.
anyway.
There was a report at the BBC yesterday from someone who works at one of those big data companies. It's all perfectly legal. Well, not some things, but the practices they're doing are like
Facebook dropped
really shady shit.
$37 billion in profit shares profit today. So that's how much of a big deal it is. So I mean, I don't know if you like the iris of your eyes not being scanned or some shit by an Oculus. Maybe. I mean, who would you want to give your data to anyway? Valve and get constant Dota advertisements?
Dude, you have to log into the EA servers on your 2015 copy of Battlefront 2 to play the VR mission. It has to update to the latest versions and log into the EA Fun server. But no, don't. I'm sure someday they'll be like cheap and just treated as monitors like hardware. Because on PC, actually, a lot of the exclusivity and walled garden stuff that these stores have tried have utterly failed, including with the PSVR itself. Because people have made apps and programs that create the kind of cross-compatibility that should have been an initiative by the industry from the first place. But no one wants to work with each other. They want to compete with each other and keep their products to themselves when they could be selling each other's products for each other's gains to try to one-up each other and make better products and compete with a fair and regulated marketplace that accelerates the development of technology at a high rate like it did in the 90s. But now we're in this situation. VR might be progressing slower than 3D gaming, but it's getting there kind of. If they stick to this $800 price tag, it's going to take them longer, though. But I see the HTC Vive model as dying. I see this whole VR as an expensive rich person novelty as something that will fade away fairly fast, because my PSVR was $170. It was nothing.
Wow.
And now I'm in. For the low costs, the entry gate is $170 for me in my case. I bought a lot of expensive accessories, but I don't understand how the Vive can compete at $500, let alone an $800 premium version.
You could buy a PS4
stuff
and
like
a
that is in the
PSVR,
marketplace.
like for that price.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
I don't know if I like the Vive, especially because Acer has good headsets now. The third parties are cropping up and they're competing with the Oculus Vive hegemony on PC. And
the mixed reality.
No matter which one you buy, you can hack it to play each other's games. So just buy the... Yeah, it should be more of a contest of buying for comfort and reliability of your electronic features than it should be compatibility of your software.
It's just one of those.
And Vive doesn't want to play like that. The Oculus doesn't want to play like that. I mean, now that I think about it, Valve seems to want to play like that. But, well, one thing that's also included with your hundreds of dollars worth of purchase is a copy of Fallout 4.
Right.
And 2 free months of HTC's Viveport service, which lets you play 5 VR games a month from a selection of around 500 titles.
500 titles of only the best, the premium VR
There are
content.
500 VR titles in
Yeah.
Well, there's 100 on PSVR at least.
500. What? When did that happen?
There's a lot of games out there.
Unity and UE4 have native VR support. That is how that happened.
Whoa.
So, hey, Liam, are you any more convinced
Nope.
than you were before HTC announced this new luxury product?
Honest to God, that price, you have to be you have to be Palmer lucky anyway to afford that shit anyway. It's like,
yeah, this isn't
God,
Liam news.
Unless you're a developer and stuff like that, it's like, what? Like $800? You're buying a pretty fucking mid to high spec PC for that price. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's an investment, not a
It is.
not a toy.
You have to be proper into VR to be spending that money, and I'm not even.
But
slightly
why
convinced on
won't
the
you want to
PS
play Skyrim again for the 20th time in VR?
Because the resolution
Skyrim
of
VR
which
is
Vive
garbage.
Pro would be running at, Skyrim can't even reach fucking a quarter of that resolution. So it's like, what is the point in doing anything?
Well, you basically cut your FPS in half because you're rendering to 2 eyes, right, Matt?
What do you mean? Cut the FPS in half?
What does the performance hit look like when you switch over from a PC game rendering to the monitor to VR mode?
Oh, that would depend on your graphics card. Because it's gonna
did you
change.
run benchmarks when you were experimenting
No,
with this stuff?
Because I've always I've always had a pretty decent graphics card. So the only time that it'll ever go below the 90 hertz that you absolutely need is if I try to bump up the DSR or something like that.
Oh, that's another thing I like about VR is that high frame rates are a ubiquitous requirement.
Yeah, you have
responsive,
to. You'll get
fast
sick.
gameplay is a ubiquitous requirement.
Yeah.
Anyways, hey, Liam.
Yay!
I feel so bad for you, but
Why? Because I'm
remember
a
how,
peasant and I don't have VR? Is that...
well, you also have a perspective that is more concerned for the struggle of developers, oftentimes more so than consumers, which I appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
Which means that you might have a very positive opinion about our next piece of news, which is the big release Epic did of their Paragon assets. Paragon is a very little known, suffering MOBA game they have trying to market right now alongside Fortnite.
Oh, no, that's dead.
Fortnite,
That's dead.
Yeah, Fortnite
Paragon's
obviously
dead.
stole the spotlight. Paragon's
Paragon's
dead. They are releasing Paragon's assets for free through the, what do they call it? Unreal Engine Marketplace is the name of the store where you go to buy assets for UE4. On that store, though, all of Paragon's assets are going to be scot-free, which, from the developers I've talked to in the Discord, they are taking as really super good news for a lot of reasons you wouldn't expect. Like, they're not as excited about, like, having costumes and characters so much as they are for having, like, animation rigs ready to go on Unreal Engine 4 models.
Like, this is nothing but good news. This is, like, even if you're just not going to use it, like, the shit they're releasing is, like...
It will improve the industry around you.
You can use Unreal pretty much for free. Like, it's so easy to access Unreal now and experiment with it. To have these kinds of assets, like full AAA stuff, and like not only just like use them in like your games in terms of like using the animation and tweaking it to fit your own characters and stuff like that, saving like so much development time, and also seeing professional animators and artists and environmental design and looking at it, you can reverse engineer it and look at why or how AAA developers work and the process they go through to get these things done. It's like there's so much stuff you can do with this. You can do like your own whiteboxing in Unreal, and now you can use like 4K quality assets from a AAA studio for free. It's really good. Like, if you're a developer on Unreal 4, I think this is awesome. This is really cool. It's like 12 millions worth this super expensive assets, things that took like 4 years to create
as well.
Yeah, like it's everything to do with the character models, right?
Voice effects, sound effects, dialogue.
Holy hell.
Yeah,
like all of the little clinks and clanks of armor, developers can just use for free now.
Yep. Like the
footstep
noises,
noises, a lot of things you wouldn't expect.
Everything you can build up for the environment as well, like little fauna and flourishes all over the place. Like you can use that stuff to experiment in your own games. Like we'll see a lot of, I don't know how it really works because we get Unity asset flipping all the time. Like maybe there will be this spate of like a few games that come out for Unreal Engine on Steam that have shit tons of Paragon
asset flips
that didn't get changed a lot. Like I can imagine that's going to happen, but in terms of like people being able to like look at how AAA studios design stuff and how they build stuff and the process that goes into them and learning from that and also using them to save time on their own development by tweaking animations.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really cool. Like the fact that Epic just gave it away instead of like selling it or even like giving it to another studio as
their Unreal Engine 4 assets to be used in your legally acquired version of Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, but
Unreal is free though.
Well, if you start making money with it, I think if you go past like 20K in revenue, they start getting a cut.
But that's the thing is, in terms of just using Unreal and then learning from these assets and like just sticking a character model in game and then writing some code to make that guy move and then watching the animations and playing around and tweaking with that, it's like super cool, super cool.
And I've long heard a problem that developers really, really don't like, which is how new assets oftentimes are made for new AAA games, and how in the movie industry you can recycle props between movies. You can't really do that with the game. With games, it causes a lot of extra time and costs and trouble when you'd have to remake a potted plant in Rainbow Six Siege that would look and function exactly the same as a potted plant in let's see, what's a different Ubisoft in Rainbow Six 3, but since they use a different engine across like 10 years of technology evolving, you can't recycle that prop. And this is not a way to solve that problem. These are all UE4 assets, but they're going to get used across multiple projects for multiple purposes, saving a lot of developers time and money. This seems like a step to take to solve that problem. The idea of taking a dead project that's not doing well and just throwing its assets out on the marketplace for everyone else to use seems like really good business to me. You're stimulating all the smaller businesses that don't have a AAA level of assets, don't have a lot of time to spend making good assets, who now have these resources to use from. And like you were saying, Liam, like they get a peek at the methodology of bigger studios. They know what assets of those qualities look like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They're stimulating a lot of smaller projects that will make better games because of this move. They are also promoting their own engine licenses, which is really their business. No matter how bad Paragon fails, even if Fortnite fails, and Fortnite's doing really damn well, Epic's going to be fine because their business model relies on their engine licensing. And this is like them advertising and promoting and improving their engine licensing business at the expense of something they weren't really making money off of anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't see the bad sides. I actually asked people in the Discord. Someone was like, you might see more UE4 asset flips. And
yeah,
I just shrugged to that. I mean, people, as far as I know, only buy those games for the purposes of trashing them on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've never really been a big fan of the argument the digital stores getting clogged up with low quality asset flips are bad for the market at large, because if people still have enough disposable income to spend on that stuff, and if other people still have enough disposable time and income to spend making that stuff, then isn't that kind of the sign of a like healthy, cozy ass society where people aren't working in gas station convenience stores instead to make their quick bucks? Anyways.
Oh boy.
I fail to see the negative side to Epic releasing $12 million of Paragon assets. I fail to even see the money lost here.
I mean, it just means they have to put more money into whatever they develop next, in terms of like they have to start again with the art assets, because they're not going to use assets that everyone else is using, otherwise their game won't stand out. So in terms of the right now, it's pretty good. In terms of like them having to spend money in the future when making another game, that's if they ever do after Fortnite, because why the fuck would you?
The idea is that the developers using these Paragon assets would make better games that make lots of money, which makes Epic more money.
There you go.
I can't even see them taking a loss from it. It's not like Paragon was making money anyway. That $12 million has already been spent. They are like recycling it. They're spending it again. That's real smart. Moving on to the next topic, there is now talk of game developer unionization happening. Just talk, though. Real sketchy, kind of. A recent era thread reports that people at GDC are getting handed out flyers by an organization called Game Workers Unite, which right now is just a Twitter account and a website that's under construction. But the materials declare that they are an anonymous and horizontal organization of people dedicating to advocating for workers' rights in the crafting of unionized game industry. We represent all workers in game development, and we seek to increase the visibility of our cause through community building, sharing resources, and direct action. We seek to bring hope and empower those suffering in this industry, which pretty much means crunch time. People got to figure out a way to fix crunch time. This is an effort to try and figure out a way to fix crunch time. Right now, they're calling for submissions of terrifying stories of being exploited by the game industry. So far, the thread cites 2, both of which are recounting tales of crunch.
Yeah, this is going to be focused towards that. And also the harassment thing, I think, is important as well. But in terms of, like, if this leads to, like, some regulations or some limitations upon, like, making people fucking work themselves to death, it could go well. But the fact that they're going to be, like, you know, anonymously led for a while, probably until they actually become an actual thing, means they're not really going to do jack shit to touch the bigger companies.
Because unions don't have power until they start being able to credibly threaten a strike that will cause the company to suffer. And since game development is a passion job, voice actors still only like
the games industry.
got half of what they wanted.
This is the thing about the games industry as well. One of there will be other people who can say it's way better than I can, but one of the biggest problems is the games industry is an awesome industry to work in, and it's like most people's dream jobs. So even if you get treated like shit, most people will just put up with it because they're afraid they'll lose their dream job. So people just put up with it. And they don't do anything about it, and they won't say anything.
And that's
for fear of losing their jobs and all that kind of stuff.
That's why they have to be anonymous, and that's why if they threaten to strike, they'll just be like, "Oh, okay, well,
we'll
DigiPen class of 2019, and welcome aboard."
Yeah, we'll replace you with someone else. Enjoy working in a different industry than the one you've always dreamed of working in. So it's difficult. I'm surprised it's taken this long for something like this to happen in the biggest entertainment media thing on the planet, but I don't know, it could lead to good things. It could also just go nowhere and be smoke.
Unions are so unpopular in the States in the first place. I mean, they might be less so in Canada. I'm sure they aren't in Japan, although I should actually ask, because Japan, like, one of the defining national problems in foreign media when reporting on Japan is a culture of overwork and very little workers' rights. So I'm wondering if unionization was ever a big cause over there.
God, I have literally no idea. I don't know anything about unions in Japan at all, or if they even exist. They have a word
on top.
They have a word for people working themselves to death. So once you have a specific word to describe a phenomenon where people work themselves to die, your hopes aren't high that there are actual unions. So I wouldn't be surprised.
On top of that, and the transitionary dream job nature of video gaming itself, I'm wondering if unionization even is I hate to say it so much, but is this actually a viable strategy for fixing the crunch time problem?
I don't know. Maybe. Like in the future.
Maybe like stronger work laws would make more sense.
There's nothing that will really change the way companies work. Like if you strike against them, it'll be like the voice actors strike, and it'll go on forever, and not that much will be done about it. And it comes down to regulations and work laws. Like there are gray areas because like most of the time in video games industry contracts, it never states you have to work overtime or do anything. It ends up being like a political thing that everyone else is doing it. You don't want to be the one person standing out not to do it.
And as I'm increasingly coming to hypothesize, I think this is a problem shared by most, if not all, creatively driven industries, that the workflow in the production schedule is just very, very hard to predict when the nature of the job relies on people like coming up with good ideas in the shower.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be a weird way to solve it, but that's how I've heard it described.
It might just be some bitter ex-employee of some company who wants to do some good in the industry or wants to at least help spread, messages about certain aspects of the industry, but then again, everyone knows about it. And the fact that it is anonymous doesn't really help right now. So I don't know. Like I haven't heard anything about it personally, so I just don't know. It could.
The first person who has their name stamped on this thing will get, if not immediately fired, then like a squinted eye at. Well, so if 40 people suddenly stamp their eye on it at once, then we'll talk.
Yeah. Well,
and if those 40 people are like the Tim Schafers, oh, of course it would be Tim. Let me think of a less contentious. If those 40 people are like the Warren Spectors of the world, people would probably listen.
I think so. But also at the same time, I think you'll find, and a lot of people agree, crunch is a necessary evil that everyone has to put up with, whether you're like a studio boss or you're QA. Like some people will just say that. Some people
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to. Those people, I'm sure we'll agree on other things.
Everyone should read Jason Schreier's book. Everyone should read it. You'll have a better understanding of this kind of thing from a broad range of perspectives that
Yeah.
give good sort of hindsight and also realism to the sort of actual situation that happens when game projects spiral out of control and you have to do crazy shit to get it finished. It's a very important book, I think.
Is why I make the comparison with other creative industries, because I've heard a lot of those complaints about things like burnout and imposter syndrome causing completely like human-made delays as being a problem that's shared with other creative pursuits as well.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but yeah, it's that thing. It's like, George, when you kill yourself trying to get a video out and you work for 24 hours or you work 3 days of the week, like fucking nonstop. It's like there is still an aspect of you needed to do it to get it done. And the video games industry just works on a larger scale than that. Like, it has to be done. Otherwise, the game will fail, the company will fail, and then no one will have a job. So, although I personally am not a fan of crunch and I've had my problems with it in the past, there is something to be said for it just being a necessary evil, and I think a lot of people would say that too. So it would be interesting to see how a games industry adapts to work regulations that would limit crunch time to certain time limits. Like, because the problem with crunch is a lot of the time it's like, okay, we're going to crunch for a month. That month ends up being 6 months. The 6 months ends up being a year. The year ends up being 2 years. Like, that's one of the major problems with crunch is you outscope, and then people just burn themselves out in 6 months but end up having to work hell for 2 years, and they're just completely burned out by the end of it. So I don't know.
And so many of the stories paint a lot of the culprits as being things like engine incompatibilities and
it's all
debugging episodes getting blown way out of proportion, which stuff like Epic Games releasing their assets for free on their engine might actually help smooth over.
Well, it's just a small aspect of it. There are so many factors. So many. And this is just sort of a nice idea, but we'll see. I think it's a long way to go before anything happens.
There's a lot of work to be done. Unionization might not be the way to fix it, but there's gotta be a way to fix crunch eventually.
We'll find out.
One of these decades.
We'll find out.
But until then, we got one final segment.
Hold on to your lily white butts.
It's everyone's literal favorite.
I'm strapping in. Got my strap
Get ready
on.
to jerk into the fun zone.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. It's funny because you guys hate it, but it seems listeners love it because we get tons of suggestions. Tons.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, you're already like perking up. I can hear that smirk.
I know. Oh, you have no idea. I'm grinning from ear to ear like the Cheshire Cat over here.
Oh, it must be a good one. It must be a saucy one.
It's a saucy one. It's a saucy one, but there's a twist. There's a little twist to this one. There's a twist to it, and I don't know how you guys want to approach this. So, for anyone who doesn't know, welcome to the Guess the Game, the bi-weekly, that's how you say every 2 weeks, and a bi-weekly segment where we torture, it seems, Matt and George over them trying to guess a game title from 5 clues suggested by you lovely listeners. And if you do want to get your suggestions in, email dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com, by the way. Yeah, do that.
Public embarrassment is a form of torture, right?
Yeah.
Right?
You guys have done all right, though. There's not really been a one that has been publicly embarrassing. It has that.
Oh, that's because they didn't hear it.
Oh yeah, the practice.
They didn't hear the practice ones, and that left a scar.
See, that's
as you
good
have
because
probably noticed.
Now I know Noctis. Now I would have gotten that one right.
Yeah. See, the practice.
I definitely would have remembered him.
I now know Super Hot Man.
Yeah. See, the practice ones. The practice ones were mine. So you guys,
What's the name of
listeners,
Super Hot Man?
Mr. Hot.
Sir
Black
Hot.
That's what they called me in cost.
You play a black man
It's what they called
killing
me in
a bunch of
college.
red people. Okay?
In VR.
That
In
classic
VR.
joke.
In VR. In a game. So
In
it's not
VR.
racial. Yeah.
No, because isn't the story that you're in VR in VR? VR.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's segments where you have to put a headset on while you already have your headset on in real life.
Anyway,
It's very disorienting.
Digressing slightly. That's a good thing anyway, because like that means all the practice ones were the good ones that stumped you, and they were mine. So listeners, come on, step up your game. Come on, torture them both.
I can't believe you stumped us with Paulina.
I know, Pauline. There's no such thing as Paulina.
See, even not.
Yeah, I keep thinking Paulina. I don't know why.
You guys, it's Mario Odyssey, because you both shat on Mario Odyssey. This is what you get.
No, Mario Odyssey is a great game.
God,
its end game is pretty nice.
All you like, Matt. You're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere.
I just shat on like the easy levels in the story of the main campaign. It's
if they cut
very
down
very
the moon,
particular nitpick.
Game. And maybe remove the dragon. Who cares the crap about the dragon?
Torture. Stop trying to distract from the torture and just sit down and get ready.
I only advocate
Netflix.
for Jesus and good Christians.
I haven't, brung up this Netflix no chill in quite a while. So let's just talk about Netflix.
Metal Gear.
Matt, sit back, relax, get ready to get some games. Because today's suggestion comes from Mr. James Allcock.
Wow.
He says,
is that the
guy's real
whose
name?
apartment you were applying for?
Name?
Did George just snigger at his real name?
It was Allcock.
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 He gets all the.
You're gonna be even more upset because James is a very generous person, as it turns out. Because he says, "Hello, Dan Sons. My name is James. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I've been listening to your podcast with earbuds while at work, and I'm 20 years old and with a few guys older than I am. It's amusing to see their reactions when I start giggling to myself for seemingly no reason." He goes on to say he loves the podcast. Y'all make good shit. Now,
thanks, Mr. Allcock.
Thank you.
He has some suggestions for games, and he has a suggestion. But also, he has added in a prize.
Oh. Is it the $50?
Stakes.
Can you imagine if this... Wait, hang on. This would be fucking hilarious if it was.
If it was
but here is a
$50 gift card.
Here is a quote prize for whoever, that should be whomever, guessed it correctly.
God, you're such a UK guy. Correcting Americans, dude.
I'm probably wrong.
He's Canadian.
He's Canadian, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not one of you.
Not anymore. Not after the purge.
Do you want to know what the prize is, or are you going to keep talking? Do you want to stop ruining Mr. Allcock's story, okay?
Sorry, Mr. Allcock.
So the prize is a mysterious Steam key. Now, I don't know what game this leads to.
God,
but
Steam's got a lot of porn on it nowadays.
If it was Final Fantasy 15,
it's gonna be some weeaboo garbage, man. Oh no.
But I think, if you guys get it correctly, because he says here is a prize for whomever guesses it correctly. If no one guessed it, Liam can have it. Now, I don't particularly want it, because as Matt says, it's probably going to be weeaboo trash.
Yeah.
But I would suggest
that
if one of you two, the tortured souls that you are, gets it correctly, that we read out the mysterious Steam key. And then whoever the first listener is to input the key gets it. So, would you both agree to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So under Allcock's generosity...
Under the Allcock regime? Under the large shadow of the Allcock?
The Empire of Allcock.
We shall block out the sun.
The Allcock.
You shall be given mysterious prizes by a man named Allcock.
Benefactors within the Allcock.
Is there a picture? Is there a picture on that email?
Of Allcock?
Of Allcock. Is there a picture?
Wait, of his email avatar? What?
Yeah.
No, there is not.
Okay.
There isn't.
I was just curious. Okay.
I'm so sorry, James. I'm so sorry, James. Wherever you are, James. I'm sorry. Anyway,
I believe
let's
it's proper to refer to him by his last name.
Well, let's hope that Mr. Allcock can get his revenge by torturing you.
Allcock's revenge.
God damn it, George.
Allcock's revenge.
Coming soon.
Coming
To the Atari 26. Oh, gross. I don't want to.
Allcock.
Right, let's get on with the fucking game. And someone can win a prize. This is it. This is the first time we're giving a prize giveaway on the Dan Sons show. And it's not even
This
from
is how
us.
it starts.
And it's not even from
Right.
us.
I'm leaning back. I'm scratching my arms. I'm
Are
ready.
you scratching your old cock?
No, not that.
Whoa.
Not on the podcast.
Wow.
That's for
okay,
later.
Let's get into it. So,
And the lady
So-
friend.
I can't wait to receive Mr. Allcock's strange surprise.
for new listeners who somehow haven't tuned out yet, guess the game. As we said, Matt and George have to guess 5. They have to guess not
gonna make
5
the
games.
music
They have to
happen
guess a
again.
game. They have to guess a game from 5 clues that Mr. Allcock. I nearly said Allcake. I don't know why. I refuse to say it anymore.
Come on, what's the first clue?
Wow,
Let's
Matt,
get through it.
that's about as
Give
fucking.
us your big Allcock clue.
Matt's so done with this segment that he just wants to get on with it, which is the first.
I just imagine the listeners being like shaking their heads, like, "What?" I just listened to the 5 minutes of them being immature, talking about cocks.
Okay. No, we got it. We got to
great
focus
American
on the Allcock
Allcock.
question.
Right.
You should be American, not Canadian.
The snowy
like
Allcock.
something. The
The
great
snowy
American
Allcock
Allcock.
up in.
Tears.
Okay.
Fucking tears.
Okay. We're on it. So, clue number 1. Clue number 1, I should say, is this was a game that was released in 2010 for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
That doesn't narrow it down much.
No. it
Okay. Yeah,
Any
I'm good
guesses?
for the
I might
next
be able
one.
to get this one.
doesn't. Wow.
Like,
Could you defeat the
Xbox
Allcock?
360 is my jam. Jesus Christ.
Is that a Persona monster? Alright, Matt, what's your guess?
I that's a big library, and I don't know games by ear. Like,
Also,
this is never
wait,
gonna
are we-
happen. Okay.
Actually allowed to throw out guesses consequence free?
Well, you can guess one. You can guess once. That's it. That's the rule. You know the rule.
Oh,
You can only guess
guess
per
once.
clue. One per clue.
Oh, once per clue.
Yeah.
So I can just scatter shot, right?
Saw.
One. You can scatter away like an old cock.
All right,
in
my
heat.
scatter shot guess is Gears of War 2.
Saw.
Wrong.
Damn. Okay.
Clue number 2. Other games from the series have been released for the Wii and the Nintendo DS as well.
Oh gosh.
Okay, that does narrow it down a lot because that means it's a Nintendo thing, like focused on that little corner of the world, that corner of the store. In 2010,
How if it's also been released, if it was majoritarily released for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, is it a Nintendo
well,
thing?
it also made it to the DS, so it. Yeah, now that you mention it, that might actually narrow it down to a narrower category of like mega hit AAAs that get put out on everything. Like, was there a GBA version of this game?
No. 2010 it was released.
So it was on the DS, the Wii, or previous versions of the franchise are on the Wii.
Yeah, it says
But-
other games from this series, so not specifically this one.
Okay. So it's actually not a Nintendo series. They just got good Nintendo coverage for this one.
Yes.
Well,
it seems like it.
Maybe? 2010. And it got a DS version. It's on. Okay, I have a really shitty guess.
Go on.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Ooh.
No.
I don't know if that had a DS version, but the first one did,
Was on Wii.
and it was on Wii, and it was fucking terrible. Anyways,
So was World at War. That was also awful.
did they do a Modern Warfare 2 for DS? Because I completely forgot.
I don't think they
that
did
was a
any
guess.
of the DS. I have no idea. It wouldn't surprise me if they did.
I'm pretty sure there was not a Wii version of it, but I still, I guess, had hopes for the DS.
Matt, do you want to guess before we go to clue number 3?
Sure, that just when you said DS and Wii, that screwed me up. Now I have no clue.
Other games from the series, not this game, just other games from this series.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Damn
the old bait and
Allcock.
switch. The old bait and switch. Okay, so clue number 3. In exchange for a small fee, you could edit and upload footage to social media from your games console without needing recording software or hardware. Pretty unique for 2010. But having to pay, that's ridiculous.
Fuck? I feel like I should know this one by now.
Is it a card game? I remember Burnout Paradise doing something like that. But I don't think it was for the Wii though.
Oh. Well, yeah, but this game didn't get a Wii version, but it did get a DS version.
No.
Oh.
No. It's games from this series have been released for the Wii and Nintendo DS. It's part of the game is a part of a series that spread across quite a majority of consoles.
But the Wii and DS did not get this game.
Did not get this.
Just it's okay.
Just
Gotcha.
PlayStation 3
I was
and Xbox
I was
360.
confused. So yeah, Matt, you might be onto something.
The Wii. Burnout for the Wii. I don't remember that.
Because I have no guesses.
I'm gonna say Burnout Paradise, and I don't think it's it for sure. But
It's
whatever.
not. No, it's not.
Okay, that was the best one. Yeah.
George, any clue?
No.
Guess?
No,
Sorry.
I'm more dumbfounded than the last clue.
Okay, so number 4 also really does not help. Weapons are brackets for the most part, close brackets, not present in this game. But you can be run over, fought, tased, and trampled.
Wait, what?
What?
What? This was on the Wii? What the hell?
No, this game was on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
It's a series that has been on the Wii.
Yeah, but you're
Yes.
talking about getting tased and stuff like that. Like that's,
Yeah. You get tased in this game.
Well, you can't fight back yourself.
No, you can't.
So now I'm thinking like first person horror, but that doesn't sound like Wii.
Yeah.
Okay, but there are no weapons in the game. But I guess by this they mean player controlled weapons.
Yeah, player control weapons, I think, is what Mr. Allcock means.
So it sounds like it could be a horror game. It sounds like
Oh, they give clues too. I didn't know they. I thought you did the clues. Interesting.
No, these are their clues. That's why it's in a poor order, if I do say
if you've
so.
ever wondered if we read
Do any work.
the game emails. I read. I make the outlines. I make I make document. Anyways, I
The
can't.
document consisted of 2 letters in giant bold text. It was VR. Don't go there.
No. I'm trying to think of 2 things at once, both defending my honor and what the hell is the.
It seems you have been stumped by the stump himself, Allcock.
So it had like.
I want that Weeaboo
Wait.
game, man.
Wait. Was it a strategy? The Movies was a PC game I don't think it had Xbox 360 and console versions. It came out way before 2005. Yeah, never mind. I was thinking of like film editing, uploading feature, and
I feel
that
like you'll
one.
get
That
it
one
on
had machinima
clue number
tools.
5.
Oh God, here we come. Here comes the rush.
Yeah, the embarrassing clue.
Yeah.
The Allcock rusheth forth.
Throbbing mightily to get to the front.
The Allcock is coming to a climax here.
Do you want to
Kingdom
go
Hearts,
straight
but,
to clue
yeah.
5?
I'm
we
ready for
primed and
clue
ready
5.
to
I don't know
fire?
about
I
you,
am
Matt.
ready for the Allcock clue.
Okay. Ready for you to be just covered by the Allcock.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so clue number 5 is that actor Jason Lee, who stars in My Name is Earl, coaches you on your abilities.
What?
Excuse me, Mr. Allcock?
Oh, that's what I was.
Actor
Okay.
Jason Lee, do you remember?
My favorite.
From My Name is Earl, dude with a mustache.
That's
About the guy with the
Was he
lottery
Earl?
ticket gets ran over and loses the lottery ticket because he's a bit of a jerk, and then goes to fix people's lives with a lift or something like that.
so is the game like supposed to be a positive, good vibes experience where you get tased and punched
there
and
is a reason,
can't fight back?
No. There is a reason Jason Lee is in this game, because Jason Lee has another profession of which he is a part of. That is not stated
Earling?
down here. I just know that.
I'm so freaking
Oh
confused.
God, this is gonna be embarrassing. I'm gonna lose this one for sure.
It looks like Mr. Allcock has won it.
Wait, is that the last clue?
That is the last clue. I mean, I could add
what?
additional ones, but it seems like Allcock has stumped you.
Jason Lee. Well, yeah, like, is this gonna be some piece of like shovelware fitness game crap?
Yeah.
because I don't select those ones. We get
You've
the
been
odd.
pretty good with that.
We get the
Yeah.
odd shovel. You both know what this game is, and it's a meme as well. I'll throw that little clue in. There's a
Oh
meme
my god!
every E3
No,
for this game to be backwards
well, it can't
compatible.
be Knack.
Wait, what?
It can't be Jillian Michaels'
Okay.
Fitness Ultimatum 2009 because that's from
There's
2009.
no weapons.
It could be Madden 2010, but it's not Madden 2010.
It's not the Milo Xbox Connect.
Yeah, you can't get tased in Madden.
I mean, if you're playing Blitz the League, you could. Fuck, Blitz the League was a good game.
Oh, dude, Blitz in general. What a good franchise. I don't think anyone would play it nowadays, but man, playing that for N64 was great. I'll still play it to this day. Still play.
So what are we thinking, friendos?
My heart has a hole in it, and it's one Allcock size too big.
Wow.
That was powerful, just like an Allcock.
I have no idea. No weapons, being tased on the Wii. Like, I don't know. I don't.
With live advice recorded by Jason Stiles. What was his name again?
Jason Lee. So okay,
Jason
So
Lee.
this is how we're gonna do it.
Final
we're not gonna-
Fantasy 15.
I'm still waiting for
Metal
the
Gear Solid 3.
It came
I'm
out in
still waiting.
2010, right? It
I'm
just
still
got ported
waiting.
over to the PC. Came out in 2010.
Square Japanese companies do tend to take that fucking long. But this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna say this week, Mr. Allcock, Mr. James Allcock, has officially been the first person to stump the duo, the tortured duo. But we'll add in this little clue to see if you get it, so we can give away the prize.
Okay.
Jason Lee is a professional skateboarder as well as an actor.
Skate 2, Skate 3, Skate.
Oh my god,
wait.
that did have a footage
Matt-
tool.
Matt,
That's right. You could do that in Skate.
Matt, choose one.
It was relatively old. Skate 3.
Skate 3 is the final answer.
What? You could get tased. Oh, that's right.
Skate 3
I love the
is
skate
the
games.
answer.
I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. That's what I'm terrible about these games. I don't know. Oh, God. Oh, well. Well, I hope you guys enjoy that visual novel that we're about to give you. Hopefully it has some...
George, do you have any comments for Mr. Allcock?
I'm just shaking my head, thinking about how much I want to just grab a hold of and shake that Allcock.
Maybe gently go up and down. So what's the game?
So the game is EA Skate 3, but we'll find out what the mysterious Steam key is now when we give it away. Should we find out what it is first by inputting it and not redeeming it and then give it away?
Yes.
You don't.
Yes,
he didn't
yes,
say,
yes.
Oh, he didn't. Oh,
No, he didn't
What
say
is
what
it?
it is.
Let's reveal it live on air.
Yeah.
Let's reveal it live on air and then let's give it away. I'm opening up my Steam client right now.
Yeah, and you can tweet out the code or
Well, no, we're just gonna do first come first serve right now.
let's see what it is. Well, Matt answered it.
Yeah, so we have to give it away.
No. We have to give it away because I didn't get it on his clues.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like how the goalposts are changing here. I feel
You
like
said
No, dude.
if you
5
said like
clues
you
is
could
the
get
game.
a clue like sports or something.
I feel like the Allcock is twisting things up inside of me.
Yes.
Fucking Jesus.
I don't know the
Right.
actor back
Right.
then. I never used to pay attention to that. Like,
All right, let's see what this is.
I'm crossing my fingers that it's porn. What is it? What is it? What is it, you bastard?
James Allcock, Mr. Allcock, you are the greatest emailer of all time.
What is it? What is it?
oh God, come on.
I want to know so bad.
The winning prize is Garfield cart.
Oh, I actually already have a copy, so no harm lost. I'm sorry that me and Mr. Allcock have so much in common, but God,
Wow.
dude. Garfield Kart. Now that's a game I played a few weeks ago that I didn't actually talk about on the pod. What a
Wow.
small
I never
fucking
heard of
world.
this, but holy crap.
I was looking at my Twitter feed one day.
What is this?
This is a joke. This is an inside Super Money Hub super joke, I think. Unless they happen to also follow Cheap Ass Gaming on Twitter and happen to also see the sale that Garfield Kart went on for like $2 and saw that I bought a copy just for shits and gigs because I guess I have disposable income now.
Is that what
I
you're spending people's
retweeted and
Patreon money on?
promoted. Yeah, $2 copies of Garfield Kart. I wanted to see if it would be good for a stream or not.
Oh my god.
Yeah?
Oh my god.
I'm looking at
Yeah.
it and it's
I can't go
just
back.
Mario Kart but with Garfield.
I can't go
Oh,
back.
it's way worse. You're giving it way too much credit. Wait, Liam, did you just redeem a copy of Garfield Kart?
I can't go back.
Yeah,
Can you put it in your
I thought you
gift
had like another
inventory or
website that you could do that
something?
from because once you put it in, that's it.
I thought you could check it.
Garfield. You stole Matt's Garfield Kart.
No, I mean, it was supposed to be yours anyway because I didn't get the code, but you stole it from the viewers. You know,
You stole the people's Garfield.
I think they will be okay. I think they'll be okay.
I'm gonna put a link to this game in the description, and Garfield's gonna wonder
We can make it
why
up to
he's
them
getting
later.
more traffic this week.
I can't believe I own Garfield car.
Wait, no, there might still be a chance. Can you like put it in your?
It's very positive
there-
though. It like the reviews are very positive. Like you got a good game.
I don't know about that. I've actually tried out Garfield Kart. It's a port of a mobile game, a very cheaply made garbage mobile game with
Oh my god, what the fuck?
I don't know. There's not many ways to describe it. It's like grocery store off-brand Diet Coke version of Mario Kart. There is very little Mario Kart in there other than inspiration.
I'm fucking print screening this.
Just to give you some perspective, Final Fantasy 15 also got very positive. So, you know.
I could actually just buy a Garfield cart code and give it away on Twitter.
That's what's gonna happen. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do.
Good shit. Good shit.
Holy!
It's time for us to wrap up. I have to pee real bad, so that means getting Mr. Allcock's wild ride out of this room into a different one.
Whoa. Is that the end of the podcast? Did we just stop there? Did we?
So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for hanging out. On your way out, don't forget to remember the good times you had with Allcock.
Wow.
Say thank you, Allcocks, for all the help they've given us. All the Allcocks of the world.
Now Steam's asking me to install it. Oh no, Steam. Don't do that.
I love you, Allcock.
Don't do that, Steam.